intent out of Cobb. Last year they gave 10 years probation for that. 2019 FTA probation. As far as the history, we got theft convictions. Last violent arrest I saw, I think, was over 20 years ago. And should have gone to FS court today.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Ms. Allen?
Your Honor, that's my case. This is an incident that occurred on the 5th of July at 4 p.m. in the afternoon at 4350 Fulton Industrial Boulevard, Southwest. This is a restaurant, I believe. The defendant jumped over the counter and assaulted 3 different individuals there. Initially, it was a victim, last name Elfawar, Elfawar, first initial K. By repeatedly striking that person in the face, causing a bleeding laceration and bruising on their forehead, in addition to potentially a pretty serious shoulder injury. Another employee, a 16-year-old girl, Mrs. Jarquin Lopez, Jarquin-Lopez, first name Natalie, was also struck in the face, causing a pretty severe black eye and cuts on her face. When one of her family members tried to intervene, Mr. Hector Jarquin Lopez, he was shoved pretty seriously and prevented from intervening. This dispute was caught on surveillance. I guess I should not say it's a dispute. It's actually an assault or an attack. The warrant injury description could actually make this case be something that gets bound up as a felony with more information. But yeah, the pretrial was correct. This young woman was arrested and had outstanding warrants for this case, as well as a criminal damage to property in the second degree, excuse me. She drove her U-Haul truck into the side of a CVS in an attempt to break into it, damaging a very extensive amount of that building, and was located based on the vehicle she was driving. We'd be asking, Your Honor, for a $9,000 surety bond. This is an attack on not related people, just blatant stranger violence. She's a danger to the community. She is a multi-convicted felon. And we'd be asking for that $9,000 surety, so that's $3,000 on each charge. Stay away from the location. That's 4350 Fulton Industrial Boulevard, and no contact with any of the victims or witnesses. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
All right, I'm sounding for, I think it was Jarquin Lopez or I can't read my own handwriting. What were the names of the victims, Ms. Allen?
The first victim, Mr. Elfawar, is first name is Khaldun, Khaldoon. We've tried to get into contact with these folks today, but have been unsuccessful so far. We'll continue that.
All right. I'm sounding for any of those parties at this time. Hearing none, Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor. My client is 42 years old, and she is right now not employed. She has a high school education, Your Honor. My client denies the allegation. She said that she was jumped by 3 people. She was attacked by 3 people, so she wanted to try to help herself out. We would like to request for signature on bond through pretrial and level 3. Also, she has no objection to stay away from that location, and also have no contact with them because she does not know them at all.
You don't know your partner, you know your group. All right. Defendant is going to receive, let me see, hold on. All right, defendant is going to receive a $2,500 surety bond, $1,000 on each battery, $500 on the simple battery. She's to have no contact with any of the alleged victims, stay away from that location. She's additionally to have no drugs, no alcohol or weapons, and her case is going to the all-purpose calendar on the 29th of August. Is there anything additional?
No, nothing further from defense, Your Honor.
All right, best of luck to you, ma'am. What do we have next?
Position 14, Ms. Stinson. Please come forward and have a seat, Ms. Stinson.
All right, thank you. Ms. Stinson, your case is 24 CR 005768G In this case, you're charged with disorderly conduct and simple battery. Do you understand your rights? All right, I'm assuming that's a yes. Mr. Howard?
14. Got ag battery on the firefighter or officer. That's out of Florida. 2023. I got another battery on the officer or firefighter conviction. The 2023 ag battery was a conviction. 2023 probation. 2023 simple battery first offender, and a couple of contempt of courts from 2020. All right.
Your Honor, that's my case. This is an incident that occurred on July the 31st at Grady Hospital. The victim is a nurse. Her name is, let's see, Jacara Jones, and that's Jacara. At about 4:11 p.m., she was taking the vitals of this young woman when she was struck in the face. The young woman displayed some disorderly behavior and was frightening. She told police that she thought medical staff were trying to poison her and she was acting in self-defense. She was booked in on the 14th of August. She does have multiple violent convictions. She's got criminal history out of Mississippi, Florida, and Georgia. Most recently, first offender was given to her in Coweta County for a simple battery. I'm not sure why in 2023 when she has felony convictions for aggravated battery on law enforcement out of Florida. We'd be asking for a $2,000 surety, Your Honor. Stay away from Grady unless she's receiving emergency medical treatment there. Stay away from Mrs. Jones, Jacara, Jacara. We would request a BHET, Your Honor, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
All right, I'm sounding for Ms. Jones. Hearing, seeing none. Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor. This is the one that I was actually interviewing over the phone. Your Honor, this was a state bind-over case, so I thought it was going to go to SAP calendar. There's a bond already set, but she has no way to pay at all. She does not have any employment as of now. And she went to college at Mississippi, Your Honor, and she has been here in Georgia for the last 2 years. And she does have another attorney, I believe, private attorney who's working on the case. However, I was not able to contact him. That's why I'm here to represent her. We would like to request for signature on bond through pretrial level 3. Since she has no financial means to pay for any bond, and stay away from Grady Hospital unless she seeks for treatment. Thank you.
Okay, what is her current bond? You said that she was supposed to go to SAP.
I thought she was going to be, but however, she is here. It is $10,000 good bond anyway. That's very, very high.
That's fine. Okay. The defendant is going to receive a $1,500 surety bond. It's going to be $1,000 on the simple battery, $500 on the disorderly. She's to stay away from Grady unless she's receiving medical treatment and have no further violent contact with Ms. Jones. She's to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, and she will be reset to, if she was already on all purpose, she'll stay there, but if not, she'll go to the 29th.
Thank you.
All right. Best of luck to you, Ms. Stinson. Who do we have next?
Position number 13, Ms. Smith.
Ms. Smith, your case is 24 CR 005763C. You are charged with simple battery. Do you understand your rights?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Howard.
8 total. Simple battery cruise in the first and third degree. It still has a pre-file 23 PF 003917. 2022 disorderly conduct. 2018 trespass. 2013 battery DV dismissed.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident from August the 9th of this year at about 1:20 p.m. at 2355 Sullivan Road. Police were dispatched about a physical altercation between employees. The victim in this case is a co-employee. Her name is Karen, Kerin, Brown. She reported that the defendant struck her in the head multiple times, at least 4 times. There were no marks seen on her, which is why this is a simple battery. Her information about what had happened was corroborated by multiple other people who'd been on scene. Warrants were obtained for Mrs. Smith's arrest. We have been in touch with Ms. Brown. She said the incident location is Coca-Cola. She's a supervisor there and that they both worked there. She said she didn't know the defendant prior to this incident, but she was called out to the parking lot because the defendant was there fighting with other employees. And when she went outside and asked the defendant her name, she started becoming a victim of violence by this woman. She said the defendant has since been fired, but she's requesting no contact and to stay away from the property, Your Honor. And if you could sound from Ms. Brown, she may have joined us on the Zoom. We're asking for a $2,000 surety bond, Your Honor. Stay away from the location, have no contact with Ms. Brown, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. She does have an open case that's unindicted. It's a 2023 felony level cruelty. She's got a $12,500 surety bond on that case.
All right, thank you, Ms. Allen. Is Ms. Brown present, wishes to make a statement? All right, hearing none, Ms. Kim?
Yes, Miss Smith is 39 years old. She was born in California, but she moved here about 26 years ago, and she graduated from high school. She also went to tech school for medical billing, and she also has a CDL education, Your Honor. She was working as a machine operator, but of course, she's no longer employed. Thus, she is not able to pay for any bond as of now. We would like to request for a signature on bond through pretrial level 3. And she has no objection to stay away and no contact with Karen Brown. She claims that it was a self-defense. Your Honor, she has a minor child, 14 years old, that she has to take care of as a single mother. She needs to be out and take care of her. Thank you.
All right, defendant's gonna receive $1,000 surety bond. She's to have no contact with the alleged victim, stay away from that location, have no alcohol, no drugs, no weapons, and she is also going to state all purpose on 29th.
Your Honor, she has a hold at Union City, the foreign county. So can she have a signature on bond through pretrial, and then be released to another jail? Because she will be in jail for a long time.
I'm gonna let it stay as is for now, Ms. Kim.
Thank you.
And we can, further development can take place. All right?
Thank you.
All right, who do we have next?
Can you repeat the bond amount?
1,000.
Surety.
Yes, 1,000 surety, yes.
Next, we have position number 8, Jones.
All right, good afternoon. Your case is 24 CR 005761C. You're charged with criminal trespass. You understand your rights?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Howard.
90.
I think I'm familiar with Mr. Jones. What I care about then is number of criminal trespasses in the past 5 years, if you know.
I don't. I'll just give you my notes.
Okay.
2024 probation, open PI out of the cab, possession of cocaine and possession of drug-related objects. Fulton County, open shoplifting, trespass, obstruction, giving false name. You got a lot of shoplifting convictions. I know that. I got a 2018 trespass conviction. I stopped there.
All right, thank you, Ms. Desiano.
Your Honor, I also stopped at 2018. I just put that he is the one. He did have a criminal trespass in 2021 in Fulton that was null prossed. The open case in DeKalb, the PI case, that's also an incident that occurred at the MARTA station in DeKalb County. Essentially, this defendant was approached because someone reported there was a man smoking crack and he fit that description. They ran a suspension check. He did not have drugs on his person, but they did see that he did have a 1-year suspension till February of next year. I believe the suspension arose from the PI situation for the open case in DeKalb. I'd be requesting a $500 good bond to stay away from MARTA, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol while out on bond. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. McLean, this is your case.
Yes, Your Honor, we'd ask the court to consider a $1,000 signature bond.
He's locally with his mom.
I'm inclined to give that Mr. McLean with the requirement that he comply with any MARTA. I'm making it higher, but do you object to a signature bond to the jail with a requirement that he stay away or comply with any active MARTA suspensions?
That would be appropriate.
All right, defendant is gonna receive a $5,000 signature bond through the jail. He must comply with all active MARTA suspensions. Is there anything additional?
Your Honor, I would just add, because of his previous criminal trespass conviction, it's my understanding he can't receive EJR.
No, that's not my reading of that. But let's double check. Hold on. Because I think it's the last 5 years, is it not, according to SB 63? I'm bad at math, so I think 2019 takes us there. I thought it was the past 5 years. Let's take a look.
My notes say if he has one prior conviction. I didn't write down a time frame. Let's see.
The last conviction for criminal trespass was, okay,
2018.
so what we can do is it'll have to be through pretrial services then at level 3. That should still comply. All right.
Does it have to be?
I think so. If
Oh, he could just get a good bond. He got 90 total, Judge. He probably coming back. I
okay,
hate to say it.
okay, well, Mr. Howard, we're gonna stick with that. Hold on.
Your Honor, it says criminal trespass provided that such offense is the person's second or subsequent offense.
Right, but there's still hold on, making me do legal research.
I'm sorry.
No, I mean, it is.
Uh,
Mr. Howard doesn't want it, but he's gonna have to do what I say. $5,000 signature bond through pretrial services at level 3. Stay away from MARTA.
Where does he live?
Does he have an address, Mr. McLean?
Right there on the book, on what we call the 3 card, 1975. That's correct. He lives with his mom.
It's a bond surrender waiting to happen. All right.
Thank
5,000
you.
per judge, Casey. Melissa, whoever.
Per judge, Mr. Howard, I understand your displeasure. However, that's what's gonna happen today. All right, who do we have next?
Position number 10, Mr. McCovery.
All right, Mr. McCovery, your case is 24 CR 005766A. You're charged with battery, family violence, and theft by taking. You understand your rights? All right, Mr. Howard.
33, 2024 shoplifting, safekeeping, harassment, 2019 couple of FTAs, 2018 battery DV, first offender, felony theft by taking, 2018 FTA, 2012 FTA.
Okay.
Your Honor, this is my case. This is a case that was brought, or the defendant was brought to us through an extradition. These are active warrants from 2019. He also has 2 cases in bench warrant from around the same time period. He was sent to us from Alabama. So the statute of limitations is told because he was out of state. The case in front of you is, let's see, an incident from June the 27th of 2019. The victim is, her name is Jandice Taylor, Jandice. It's reported that they live together, and she made a police report that the defendant had burned her with a cigarette on her right hand and her ring finger. She was seen to have torn skin as a result of that. He also struck her with an object. And then he took 2 of her cell phones. That's the theft by taking, as well as her food stamp card. The defendant also has 2 open cases, Your Honor. One, simple battery and hinder 911 call. That's 19 CR 000153A. That's against the same victim. And he's got a conviction from Cobb County in 2018. So the conviction is a prior conviction, even though this case in front of you is a 2019 case. It happened in June. In February of 2019, he was convicted of battery family violence against the same victim at a Cobb County And so this should be a felony. However, the DA's office declined to take it when I spoke with them. So we'll be moving forward. He also has 2 failure to appears out of Roswell and 1 out of our jurisdiction, obviously. We have been in touch with the victim who may be joining us on Zoom. I'm not sure. Her name, again, last name is Taylor. First name is Jan Dice. She reports that they're still in communication, although they don't live together and they're not in a relationship. And she'd like to continue to have a relationship with him and communicate with him. And she also has moved to Alabama. The state's going to be asking for a $4,000 surety bond, Your Honor. Absolutely no contact with Miss Taylor. Stay away from where she may live or work. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. And he's got 2 other cases he's going to have be heard on.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Allen. Is Ms. Taylor present? Wishes to make a statement? Okay, hearing none. Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, my client has a high school diploma and 2 years of post-high school education in the electrical technology area and some business courses. He runs a landscaping company. Is not large enough yet to have employees. It is him, but he hopes to grow it in the future. I would emphasize the date of this. I understand what the state is saying about the alleged tolling, and those are some facts that will have to be fleshed out about where he was. Your Honor, he has a stable address. He has stable phone numbers of people to reach. So there should not, even though he has these other things, there shouldn't be any trouble getting hold of him. We would ask the court to consider a signature bond or a smaller surety bond with appropriate conditions.
All right. Defendant's going to receive a $1,500 surety bond, 1,000 on the battery, family violence, 500 on the theft by taking. He's to have no further violent contact with the alleged victim in this case, have no alcohol, no drugs, no weapons, and he's going to all purpose on the 29th as well. Is there anything additional?
Can you repeat the amount?
1,500, 1,000, count 1, 500, count 2.
Thank you.
If we could just note that he's got those 2 open cases, they need to be reset if he appears on the SAP calendar.
At the same time?
Thank you.
Right.
Next, we go to position number 9, Mr. McBride.
Okay. All right, Mr. McBride, your case is 24 CR 0057. I'm sorry, 5767. Why you're charged with criminal trespass, battery, family violence, and stalking. Do you understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Howard.
19 total. 2019 trafficking out of Vegas. Appears to have an open case out of California, possession of cocaine base. Another open case, it says Pander. On probation, well, he's on probation for the cocaine. He had a capital offense from 2015 that was dismissed. 2014 obstruction conviction, 2014 parole violation.
Okay.
That's my case, Your Honor. The defendant has an extensive history out of California, including felony drug convictions, assault with a firearm, or no, assault with a deadly weapon, not a firearm conviction, felony level obstruction inside a prison from 2014, as well as a felony obstruction conviction in 2015. This incident, Your Honor, occurred on the 15th of August, yesterday at about 6 p.m. The defendant's stepfather, Mr. Daryl Norwood, happened to run into him at the Kroger near where they live in Fairburn, stepdad and mom. He said that his stepson drove up next to him in his blue Chevy Impala and threatened him, saying things like, "What's up now? Talk shit now without your gun." The victim, Mr. Daryl Norwood, drove away and drove home to 5892 Bluegrass View in Fairview. The defendant drove around him and drove in front of him for a period of time on the way home, and then stopped and pulled over in a Wendy's parking lot. The victim continued on his drive, and the defendant was seen circling in the parking lot and then getting behind him and following him all the way back to his residence where he lives with the defendant's mother. Mr. McBride then got out of his vehicle and engaged in a argument with his stepdad there in front of the location. Mom Janessa Norwood, that's Janessa. Last name is Norwood McBride. She called 911 and she came outside, she reports, with her firearm behind her back. She didn't want her son to see it. They asked the son to leave. He responded by being abusive, verbally, name calling, and vulgar. And then he began grabbing his mother on her neck. He actually shoved her to the degree that she had visible marks on her neck. As a result, the defendant then got in his Chevy Malibu and left. But he was arrested very close by. There were officers nearby, and he made admissions to police. He said he ran into his stepdad at the Kroger, and his stepdad started talking shit. So he followed him home and yelled at him from his vehicle. He says he was yelling at him from his vehicle, but he wasn't making threats. So I'm not really sure what we would be yelling. He denied there was a physical altercation with his mom. He said his mom had a firearm, and he said, well, I told her to even shoot me. There were no weapons recovered on this gentleman. He was Mirandized, and then he changed his statement and admitted that he pushed his mom, and he said it was because he was afraid she had a gun. He also admitted that he was under a 1-year-long trespass order from that location. The issue here, Your Honor, is that he was evicted from that residence in December of 2023. The family members who live there have been receiving threatening text messages and threats to harm them specifically. So this violence that occurred yesterday is an escalation of an ongoing issue. He's charged with stalking for following and surveilling his stepdad on the way home from the Kroger. He's charged with the criminal trespass because he has a current order in place that's good for a year. And he's charged with the battery for the visible injury to the neck of his mom, Mrs. Janessa. Mrs. Janessa and stepdad Daryl are on the Zoom. We've been in touch with them. They request absolutely no contact and to stay away from the location. And if you'd sound for them, that makes a lot of sense, I think. Our office is asking for $2,000 on each of the counts. That's a $6,000 good bond, Your Honor, we're asking for. Stay away from the location and no contact with the victims and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. Thank you.
Last names of the victims again, Ms. Allen.
Mr. Norwood, Daryl Norwood, is stepdad. Mom is Janessa Norwood McBride, which is the same last name as this gentleman in front of you because it's her biological son.
All right, I'm sounding for Mr. Norwood at this time. If you'd like to make a statement, please raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm testimony gives today be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
All right, if you disagree with the facts that Ms. Allen just stated, that's not what I'm most concerned about. I am most concerned with any fear you have for your safety and desire for contact with the defendant in this case.
Well, every time we run into each other, he wants to fight me or beat me up or he hates me and all that stuff. So I don't want any contact whatsoever.
Okay. Anything additionally you'd like to tell me?
Just no contact whatsoever. That's all I want.
All right. Ms. McBride, Ms. Norwood McBride, please raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm testimony you give today be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
All right. Same questions. If you disagree or want to add to Ms. Allen, there will be further development of this case as I'm not sentencing the defendant today. What I'm most concerned with is fear for your safety and contact. What would you like to tell me?
I just want to make sure he stays away. He has mental issues. He has mental issues. He stated to me that once he was in prison in California, they had diagnosed him being bipolar, I believe it is, but he refused to take his.
Don't tell me about his medical right now. What I'm most concerned, because I don't want to say something sensitive on the record. What I'm concerned with is, do you have concerns for your safety and do you wish to have contact with him?
No contact at all.
All right, thank you. I appreciate you coming to court and making that statement. Mr. McLean?
We agree the no contact is appropriate. Your Honor, he has post-high school education in the sense of vocational training. He is EPA certified for HVAC. commercial air conditioning and heating and ventilation. He's been working at one place for 3 months. Before that, he was, and that's in his field now. And before that, he's been working in warehouse jobs and getting that schooling to increase his employability and be in that field. We would ask the court to consider the signature bond area or a smaller amount of surety bond, but we certainly agree with all the conditions of no contact whatsoever. Stay away.
All right, thank you. Defendant's gonna receive a $3,500 surety bond. It's 2,000 on the stalking, 1,000 on the battery, family violence, and 500 on the criminal trespass. He's to have no contact whatsoever with either of the alleged victims and stay away from that location. Additionally, he's to have no drugs, no alcohol, no weapons as a condition, and he'll be reset to all purpose on the 29th. All right, anything additional from state or defense?
No, thank you.
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right. Best of luck to you, sir. I know you have a question. The best thing for you to do is to speak to your attorney. I don't want you to infringe upon your right to remain silent and your right against self-incrimination. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So your attorney will be in touch with you and give you further information. Best of luck to all parties. All right, what do we have next?
Position number 3, driver.
Let's see. Position 3. Let's see. Okay, Mr. Driver, your case is 24 CR 005759F. You're charged with loitering and prowling and obstruction. Do you understand your rights? All right, Mr. Howard.
15, resident out of Albany. 2023 battery DV. It's open out of the cab. Open theft by taking, forgery, and the third out of Cobb. 2021 FTA, 2020 shoplifting conviction. 2018 and 19 probation. And 2014 shoplifting conviction.
All right, thank you. Ms. Sessiano?
Your Honor, this incident took place August 15th of this year. Officers were dispatched to 517 Rock Springs Road in response to a suspicious person looking through the windows. 2 days before this incident, officers also responded to another address on the same street, 512 Rock Springs Road. The woman in that case said that someone was trying to enter her home. She had a passcode on her door and heard the beeping of the wrong passcode. She was pretty shaken up by it. She recognized the defendant as someone that's had some issues with whoever lives at 517 before. And she described his clothing and she recognized him because he was wearing the same clothing on this date. So on the 15th, the second time the police were called, the defendant was seen walking up the driveway of 517 Rock Springs Road. The officer approached him. The defendant began to walk backwards away from him, despite being instructed not to leave. The officer attempted to detain the defendant. He snatched his arm away and continued to ignore commands. He started to flee. He was eventually tased and then resisted arrest. At this time, the officer then made contact with the person who lives at 517. I believe his name is Mark Harry. And he stated that he's the one who called 911 because the defendant was trying to enter his house. Your Honor, he does have an open battery case in DeKalb. And in that case, he does have his address listed at 517 Rock Springs Road. So I believe that he does know the individual at 517 Rock Springs Road. However, he does not know the individual at 5112 Rock Springs Road. And he also has the open theft by taking. The state's requesting a $1,000 good bond, 500 on each count, a stay away from all of Rock Springs Road, or at least 517 and 512 Rock Springs Road, no further contact with Susan Watley or Mark Harry, and no weapons, drugs, or alcohol while out on bond.
All right, thank you. Mr. Cook?
Yes, Your Honor, my client's 29 years old. He has lived here his entire life, lived in the area his entire life. He's recently gotten into e-commerce, but that is not producing much income at the moment. He does live at 517 Rock Springs Road from the information he gave me. So we would like him to be able to return at least to that location. Beyond that, We would be seeking a signature bond. I know there may be some restriction on the obstruction through the new law, but it perhaps at some pretrial level.
All right, defendant's gonna receive $1,000 surety bond, 500 on each count. He's to stay away from the location of the victims. However, I will not restrict him from his own home. He's to have no alcohol, no drugs, no weapons as a condition.
So
Is
only a restriction from 512, Judge, because he lives at 517 or what?
I guess, I'm not gonna restrict him from his own house. What was the addresses of the alleged victims?
517 and 512. And Your Honor, I'll be candid. The warrant is unclear. It seems like he knows the person at 517, but the person at 517 is who called the police for him trying to get into the home through a window. And I'm not sure who the victim is in the DeKalb County case, if that's related at all, but I don't know.
His address, Mr. Cook, is what?
The address he gave me was 517 Rock Springs Road, Northeast Atlanta, 30324.
Yes.
Okay, so, and it's unclear if the victims.
The
that part
victims
is not-
are my are I guess like other tenants that stay there. I just had to take a shower.
Don't say anything.
Okay, all right.
I don't want you to say too much. Let me think about this. Because it's unclear and allegedly that's his address, we'll allow him to return to that address if that is in fact his address. And he must stay away from the 512. It's unclear how to handle this. If this is
Could he go to 517
with law enforcement?
law
That would,
enforcement?
yeah. Okay, so that's what we'll do. He'll return one time with law enforcement to ascertain that that is his address. If it's not, or he's unable to gain access, he'll have to stay away from both addresses. Otherwise, he's allowed to return to 517 and must stay away from 512. All right, best of luck to you, sir. Who do we have next?
And I'm sorry, Judge, what was the other conditions?
I haven't seen,
It was just a stay away. And LEO escort to ascertain.
Okay, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, is this Mr. Woods?
yes, Your
All
Honor.
right, Mr. Woods, your case is 24 CR 005769H. You're charged with obstruction. You understand, right?
Yes.
All right. Mr. Howard.
6 total, 2022. ID theft, fraud, on probation, hijacking motor vehicle, possession of a knife or a firearm during the commission.
Okay.
Your Honor, that felony conviction for hijacking and possession of a firearm, he just entered a guilty plea and was sentenced on June the 5th of this year. That's 23 SC 188148. In front of you is an obstruction from yesterday, the 15th of August at about 8 p.m. at 292 Thornton Street Southwest. Mr. Woods is identified as the father of a juvenile that police were investigating for an aggravated assault. That child had just run into the location at 292 Thornton, and police believed they had discarded a firearm that they just used in this aggravated assault. Everyone at that location was told they needed to exit. Police were investigating what had just happened and were awaiting a search warrant to go in and try to locate that firearm. Mr. Woods was told specifically that he should not be going back into the residence like everyone else. He disregarded those directions and went into the location, came back outside with a firearm in his underwear, and was arrested. I think it is important to note that this young man is now a felon as of June the 5th, 2024, shouldn't be in possession of a firearm. Certainly shouldn't have one in his home or in and around his person. And tampering with evidence of someone else's case is actually a felony. So this could be transferred up to the DA's office for prosecution. Today, we're looking at a single count of obstruction for going into the home and retrieving that firearm against the directives of officers. We'd be asking for a $5,000 good bond, Your Honor. Stay away from the location at 292 Thornton Street Southwest, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. Also, the firearm was stolen. Another wrinkle. This is not only a blatant disregard for the fact that he just entered a guilty plea. He was already a convicted felon for theft by receiving in 2018, 18 SC 159843. This isn't new information. And now we've got a whole new generation that he's assisting. The report that I reviewed said that the young juvenile is actually his child, which is even more sad. But I haven't been able to verify that yet. So that's what we're asking for, Your Honor. This is a public safety issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Woods is 23 years old, Your Honor. That little boy is 13 years old. He did not have a child when he was 10 years old. Mr. Woods, let me defend you first. If you have any question, I'll be happy to answer your question. I don't want you to incriminate yourself. Your Honor, he has no child. The little person, I guess, little boy was his cousin. He is gainfully employed, working at UPS warehouse. He has 12th grade GED. Your Honor, he has a address, email address. Only thing that he did was asking if the police had a search warrant to come into his house. I mean, that's why he was, arrested for obstruction. We would like to request for signature on bond through a pretrial level 3. Right now, there's a $2,000 a surety bond. I don't think it should be going up at all. And there's no felony issues at this point. This is a simply misdemeanor obstruction case as of now. So we would like to focus on that charge only. Thank you.
All right, defendant's bond will remain at the 2,000 surety. He's to have no weapons, drugs, or alcohol as the conditions. Is there anything additional? All right.
Could we request to stay away from the juvenile cousin and the location?
The charges of obstruction. So
Yeah,
I think those will be the only conditions. If there was a different charge there, Ms. Allen, there might have been more consideration there.
All right, we'll work on it. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, didn't necessarily mean to prompt you to work on it. All right, let's go into the breakout for position 15, Wesley. All those who'd like to be in the breakout, please signal. Mr. Howard, can you give us the history, please, before we go in?
Your Honor, the courtroom is clear, so we can do the case right